Welcome to New Gameplay. Today I am Kyle Hilliard here with Marcus Stewart.
Hey Kyle, how's it going?
Good. Usually, hosting New Gameplay today, I would say the title of the game. But Marcus, I'm going to need you to say the title of the game. I know it's a Bayonetta game, but what is the full, proper title?
It is Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon.
Yeah, so this is a weird thing. I mean, it's a spin-off prequel? Is that the best way to describe it?
It's a prequel and it's a spin-off in the sense that it's a completely different style of game than the main three Bayonetta games. This one was revealed, at Nintendo Direct a few months ago, but instead of being a sort of third-person stylish action game, it's something closer to like a Zelda. Or even
okay, I'm listening.
So that's why I wanted you on this, Kyle, because there's a few little things in this game that remind me of Zelda very strongly. But the idea is that you're playing as I believe she's 10 years old, Bayonetta, Cereza, kind of in the earliest point in her journey. She's still a witch in training, and we're kind of getting to see her upbringing and how she, learned how to become a capable Umbra witch. And the idea is that she's got her first demon right there, Cheshire, who, if you played Bayonetta 3, you might remember the Cheshire in that game. But she's on this journey in this magical forest, trying to prove herself as a capable witch. And what's cool about the game is that, as you can see here, is that there are segments where you can summon Cheshire at will, and when you do that, you control both characters simultaneously, very reminiscent of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, because both characters you control with an individual analog stick. So this is early in the game, so okay. If I look a little awkward, it's because I'm still getting used to, navigating both characters. But you don't have to have Cheshire out. As you can see there, you can call him back and just move with Bayonetta, and you only summon them when you need them to. And I will say, we're working on a review of the game. I'm about halfway through it at the time of recording, and so far, I'm having a really good time with it. I say that because I think when this game was revealed, a portion of the fan base was kind of like, what is this? This isn't what I want from Bayonetta.
A fair reaction, frankly. Like, I don't think people were out of line to be like, this doesn't look like Bayonetta,
right?
But it is. But I'm glad to hear that you so far like a positive first impression.
Yeah, like you said, I had the same thing of like, this looks interesting. Like I kind of want to see more of this. And yeah, I've been very pleasantly surprised about like how much there is in this game. I think maybe the impression it gives is that it's like, it's probably a pretty linear sort of like kiddie Bayonetta. It's probably not like a ton going on. It's probably a short experience, but I don't know how long it is, but there's a lot more in this game than I expected. So the idea is that you're going through this really large forest, and along the way you're upgrading Cheshire. If you've seen the trailers, you can get these different environmental forms for him that grant different attacks, as well as exploration abilities. It's got a bit of a Metroid-y element of like, I see this door here I can't tear down. Then I get this like environmental power that can get me past this door, so I'm going to revisit and grab some stuff. There's a lot of collecting in this game. You can see here there's some elements of the old Bayonetta games where you're finding different spell ingredients to concoct potions and whatnot. But there's also like just all these different upgrades as well as just story collectibles that you're finding just all over the world. The combat itself is also more involved than I expected, so
yeah, that was gonna be my next question, because like so far in what I've seen, this video's 4 minutes in, and what I've seen in trailers and stuff, it doesn't really, there is combat, because right, I haven't seen a lot.
Yeah, it's not, don't expect like traditional Bayonetta, like that sort of like, I guess, depth in the combat, but it is deeper than you would expect. So Cheshire does all the fighting. But what you do with Bayonetta is that, since she still is learning her powers, all she can do is kind of summon these vines to bind enemies, to hold them in place. And then you can kind of wail on them with Cheshire. And you're controlling both characters simultaneously, like I mentioned. And, the combat starts out pretty simple of like, okay, Cheshire has a pretty basic combo. You tear through them. It feels good, despite, how basic it is. But then both characters have individual skill trees, and they take that very simple foundation and expand it where, you can learn new combos with Cheshire, and there's a lot of timing based attacks. So like, okay, if you like most stylized action games, like, okay, if you attack, get them in a weak state. If you pause, you can trigger like a big finishing move, or if you get them in sort of a stun state, you can do a finishing move. Bayonetta's moves can be upgraded to where you can bind multiple enemies, and then they can have special effects of enemies that are bound might be slowed, or you can drain magic from them. And yeah, at the point that I am in the game, I'm enjoying the combat more and more. Again, it's not as wild or mechanically deep as a traditional Bayonetta game, but for this style of game, it's more impressive than, again, I think I expected going into it. It's pretty fun, and just having the added layer of like controlling them both at the same time, once you get used to it, kind of like, again, playing Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, you start to gel of like, okay, I can move Bayonetta and do her thing while simultaneously kicking butt with Cheshire, and you feel really cool when you can kind of do that pretty flawlessly.
So you mentioned Brothers, which is a game where you control each brother on a control stick, and I'm getting the sense that's what you're doing here, right?
Yes. So Bayonetta, you control her with the left stick, Cheshire with the right stick. Again, you don't have to do that all the time. You can call Cheshire at will, so you'll spend a lot of the game just controlling Bayonetta if you want to do that.
Well, my question was, like, are you pressing face buttons to execute attacks?
You're using the shoulder buttons, so it feels
okay, so
nice.
You keep your thumbs on the control sticks, both control sticks, because a lot of the times you're controlling two characters, and then you're executing things with the shoulder buttons.
Yeah, like Cheshire, you're using the right trigger to do his attacks, which you'll need to get past certain obstacles. You see these vines that only Cheshire can break down. There's other obstacles that only Bayonetta can use, and you're using the left trigger to use her powers outside of combat. They have like these flowers or vines that you can sort of like blossom into paths, and you'll use Bayonetta's power to do this sort of rhythmic mini game where you're kind of almost in a hi-fi rush kind of way, hitting these timed notes to execute Bayonetta's powers, kind of playing into her, the way she dances to summon demons in the regular games. These games have always had a bit of a music element. But what's cool about this game that I also want to call out is that it's very friendly in terms of like letting you customize your experience. This is still a more laid-back experience than a traditional Bayonetta, obviously. And there's plenty of moments early on where they'll tell you straight up like, hey, if you don't want to do the music minigame stuff, you can set this option to where you just hold the button and the thing happens. And there's other instances like that of just from an accessibility standpoint, I think is really cool. So I'm enjoying this game as like a laid back experience, even though there was a lot more action that I think, again, people might expect from it. But between the music, which I think is fantastic, and again, I mentioned the Zelda stuff before, there's a lot of Zelda-esque jingles, especially when you're opening chests, where you're like, oh, that's very...
So good. It's like good, you're saying. Good music.
It's probably my favorite soundtrack next to Hi-Fi Rush this year. I think
that's high praise. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I off the top of my head, I'm not sure what else come out this year that stuck out to me. Another question for you, Marcus. Is it broken into levels, or do you have like a big location that you're exploring?
It's a big multi-tiered map. It's like large hubs, maybe, is the best way I can describe it. Kind of like not quite Metroidvania in terms of like one gigantic forest, but they're divided into like large hubs. And
I was going to say, and they're all connected, right? You're not.
Yes.
Are you going out to like an overworld map or anything like that?
Yeah, they're all connected, and you'll find shortcuts to get back to areas faster once you get more Cheshire abilities. And there's also, fast travel. So
okay,
yeah.
For some reason, I just assumed it was levels. I don't know why. I just assumed it was like a series of puzzle levels. But that does make it more intriguing knowing that they're all connected.
Yeah, they're all connected, and it's it can be easy to get lost. That's probably my only complaint with the map. Just the way the levels are laid out. There are a lot of different paths, and you can kind of lose track of like, where do I want to go? But the game also highlights collectibles to make them easy to find. So you're like, okay, I can have this ability now to go get this upgrade thing for Cheshire. Here it is on the map. I can go straight to it. And we're seeing a bit of the little mini game there that I mentioned before. But yeah, I'm having fun with it. It's I think it's a fun little sort of spin-off. I'm always a fan of when established franchises do like spin-offs in a different genre. And I think so far I'm pretty happy with Bayonetta Origins. I'm excited to see how it continues to evolve.
Awesome. Well, I'll keep an eye out for your full review on the site coming soon, I think, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Marcus.
Thank you.